filming today?
Well, at the minute, them.
Him? Just
No, not him. The gatehouse.
Oh, the gatehouse.
Yeah, because I was just walking up and down taking pictures.
Yeah.
I was actually hoping to get a police car with the blue lights coming out.
Yeah.
I've got that now, but you spoilt my shot anyway.
Okay.
And the gentleman come out and committed a Section 5 public order offence.
Okay, what happened?
He said I'm not allowed to film.
Yeah.
And I explained to him I'm on a public road, so I can film.
Yeah.
And he called me an effing idiot, and it's all on film.
Right, okay. The gentleman in the...
Yeah, he had a security coat on with a big beard.
Right, okay. And you've got that on film?
I have, yeah.
Okay. What, are you wanting us to do anything about that? Were you planning on reporting it, or...?
I've just reported it to you, haven't I?
Right. At the moment, obviously, I'll deal with what you've just reported to me. Okay,
yep.
We'll take that into consideration. But we've had a report before anything of that has come through that there's been a male walking around with a balaclava on. Okay?
It's not a balaclava.
Okay, that's the report we've had. Okay,
right.
Because you are matching that description.
Yep.
I'm detaining you for a stop search under Section 1 of PACE. Okay.
Really?
Based on the fact that sort of equipment. Okay.
So what's your reasonable grounds?
My grounds are
that I'm wearing a balaclava, which isn't a balaclava.
Okay. You match the description. You are covered in your face, okay?
They move in quickly and surround him from the start, speaking as if he is already in the wrong. And the moment he does not comply, the situation escalates without pause. Section 1 PACE is brought in not because of anything he has done, but because of how he looks, and that becomes the entire basis for the stop. The reasoning is reduced to a simple idea that a covered face equals suspicion, which shifts the focus away from behavior and onto appearance. That is not grounded policing, and it risks turning a legal power into profiling based on clothing rather than facts. If wearing a face covering outside a police station is enough to justify a search, then the limit of that power becomes unclear and overly broad. Section 1 is not meant to be used as a tool for checking people without cause, and it requires a clear link to specific items along with a genuine reason before any detention takes place. In this case, the logic appears reversed, with the decision to detain coming first and the search for justification coming after. That is why the stop does not hold up when examined closely, because the issue is not simply how it was handled, but whether it had a lawful basis from the very beginning, which remains in doubt as the details are reviewed.
Looking at offences such as theft, going equipped, that sort of thing,
okay.
That sort of equipment can be used for that. Okay.
Right, so what are you looking for then, particularly?
So any further equipment that could be used in the course of conducting an offence such as theft or going equipped, okay?
All right.
So because
you do realise you'll get a civil claim over this?
Okay, that's fine, yeah. Right, because I'm quite a small female and you're quite big, I'm going to place you in handcuffs because you're an unknown risk to me, okay? So
right, does it have to be a male? You're not stopping recording?
No.
Handcuffs on by anybody.
Yeah.
What are you doing holding the handcuffs?
I'm just doing like that, holding handcuffs. I need an explanation.
Well, it does. Look at your nails, you nearly scratched me with them.
Handcuffs can be used as a weapon, can't they?
Can they?
So
what, when I'm in handcuffs?
Yes.
I can assure you now I'm going to cooperate. I don't agree to the search and I don't consent to the search, I'll make that clear.
You don't have to consent.
Okay, I've detained you in Section 1 PACE, you don't have to agree to it, it's
a
voluntary thing, okay? Right, will you want a copy of the stop search record?
Yes, I will.
Sorry, can you hold them for me while I just... Sorry.
Honestly, I'm not going to try and break out.
Yeah, but as
I'm not going to get far, am I?
The justification continues to drift until it turns into pure speculation with no solid footing left to rely on. The focus suddenly shifts to theft without any specific offense report or evidence, and instead becomes a vague suggestion that he might have equipment that could be used for it. That is not lawful grounds, and it reflects a fishing approach rather than a reasoned decision. Section 1 does not allow officers to search someone in the hope that suspicion will appear after the fact, and it requires clear reasoning before any action is taken. Describing this as civil claim territory is not exaggeration, but a recognition that the process has moved outside proper limits. Then the handcuffs are applied even though he remains calm compliant and follows instructions without resistance, which makes the decision harder to justify. The explanation given points to size difference and uncertainty by describing her as smaller and him as an unknown risk, but that does not amount to a proper risk assessment. Size alone does not create danger and uncertainty. Without behavior does not justify restraint. Real risk is based on actions and indicators, not assumptions. What is being shown here is not careful risk management, but convenience where restraints are used to cover weak grounds and officer concern rather than any clear or immediate threat that would require that level of control.
Being in a public place with a face covering, that's the offence.
Right. What's your name, sorry, just so I can...
I don't give my name.
Okay. So I need it to complete the form, and also if you want to process your complaint about the public order thing, I'll need your details anyway.
Right. You can just call me FT.
FT, okay? And
Yeah.
we need more than that if you want me to deal with that complaint.
No.
Because I can't deal with that.
So you don't want to make a complaint about the Section 5 public order offence? Because you would need to give your details as a victim.
Alright, so if there's a murder and the person's dead, how do they make a complaint? Do they give their name? I don't think so.
That's quite a different situation.
Is it?
And we generally identify.
Right, we're getting on with the search. We've got better things to do than stand here talking around to you
Well,
muppets.
you didn't have much better things to do because you were standing here filming, weren't you?
You had the grounds to search, explain to you and everything.
Well, yeah, apparently they're looking for, what is it you're looking for? Crowbars?
That can be used in the event. Really quick.
Wow.
Been detained in Section 1 case then PC 3096. I'm policing from here, this police station here, Fly Police Station.
Congratulations.
So, been offered a copy of the search record?
I have been offered a copy of search. You don't need my name for that though.
The Section 5 issue becomes completely twisted as the situation unfolds and the focus shifts away from where it began. Early on, Audit raises it because a member of the public approaches him and directs abusive language, which is a kind of conduct that could fall under a public order concern. That moment passes without action and is not addressed by the officers at the time, which makes the later shift more noticeable. Instead of dealing with that behavior, the situation is turned around and Section 5 is redirected back at him. The officers then begin asking for his name and suggest they cannot move forward without it, as if making a report somehow changes his position into that of a suspect. That is not how complaints are meant to work, and a person does not lose the ability to report an issue simply because they choose not to provide personal details on demand. The timing makes a change in approach clear, because Section 5 only becomes a focus once frustration builds and a new angle is needed. This is no longer about addressing disorder, but about regaining control of the situation. By reframing the person raising the concern as the issue, the original behavior fades into the background and is no longer treated as a central point of attention, which shifts the entire direction of the encounter away from where it started.
It's the top cuff's going to come off first.
Shouldn't have been put on really, should it?
When you're detained for a search, it's the officer's choice whether to put you in handcuffs, but we are legally allowed to do so.
We'll see. So you can witness the markings on my hand?
Yep.
I'll go towards the... Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4 police cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 police officers. We all constables. No detectives here, is there? No inspectors. Couldn't detect anything, could they? What I might do later, I might just film all these registrations in here as well. Alright. I'll probably just put them on the internet.
What are you going to do that for?
Because I like taking videos and putting them on the internet.
People's registrations of the vehicle.
It's not illegal though, is it?
You can film wherever you want.
Exactly.
The search ends exactly how it was always going to, with nothing found and no evidence to support the actions that were taken. When the cuffs are removed, the marks on his wrists are clear and deep, which shows the restraint was not brief or minimal, as it should have been in a controlled situation. When restraint leaves visible marks, it begins to look less like a safety measure and more like a response to someone not complying with expectations. Then comes a final contradiction that brings everything into focus. When he asks if continuing to film vehicles is illegal, the officer responds that he can film whatever he wants, and that statement carries significant weight. If filming is lawful at the end, then it was lawful from the beginning, and that means the detention, the use of cuffs, and the search lose their foundation. What remains is not uncertainty, but a clear example of how quickly rights can be restricted when actions are taken based on frustration rather than consistent and lawful reasoning, which highlights the importance of proper justification at every stage of an interaction.
So why'd you wear the thin blue line badge then? Part of the gang? Do you know more people, the public, have died in police custody in the last 30 years than police officers have died on active duty in the last 100 years? Where's your badge for that? Silence. Feel proud today? Done a good job today? Go home and tell the children.
I advise you that your actions could be construed as hostile reconnaissance towards terrorism.
What? I just said you've done a good job today.
Police personal vehicles.
Hostile.
For the purpose of putting them on
Terrorism.
for whatever reason that might
Oh,
be.
go on, keep digging that hole.
It's hostile reconnaissance for terrorism offences.
Hostile. If I was hostile reconnaissance, I wouldn't be overt, would I?
No,
I'd be
you don't understand
covert.
what hostile reconnaissance means. It's all right.
You're allowed to do reconnaissance.
You're not
If I wanted
hostile
to, I could map all this ground.
could be construed as committing hostile reconnaissance for terrorism offences. I'm just making you aware
Right,
of
okay,
that.
let me make you aware of this. If you think I'm a terrorist, you should leave me alone and contact the anti-terrorism squad. Because if you thought I was a terrorist, you wouldn't all come up to me like this, would you?
When the officer starts describing his filming as hostile under terrorism legislation, it reveals a weakness in the reasoning straight away and shows the direction the interaction has taken. Recording police vehicles and sharing that content online is not an indicator of terrorism, and it is something done openly by many people without issue. There is no intelligence, no clear threat markers, and no sign of hostile intent present in the situation, only a camera and discomfort from being observed. Using the language of terrorism in this context does not strengthen the case and instead makes the argument appear unfocused and unsupported. The response from Free Times Audit stays grounded by pointing out the obvious that if there were a genuine concern, then the proper course would be to involve counterterrorism units. That point draws a clear line between real risk and unsupported suggestion. Either there is a credible reason that meets the threshold for specialist involvement, or there is not, and the absence of further action makes that clear. The word is introduced, but nothing follows it which shows it was not backed by substance. Terrorism is not something that can be applied based on feeling, and using it in that way exposes how little foundation there was behind the stop from the beginning.
What I said was, your actions can be construed as hostile reconnaissance.
I've had enough of you now, off your pop.
offences.
Not talking to you anymore, talk rubbish.
We can be here just as much as you can be here.
Oh, yeah, I know you can. But I can tell you to off your pop. Anybody filming?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you're supposed to tell me at the first available opportunity.
Am I?
As part of your policy. You don't even know your own policy. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Can you just inform him that if he swears at me again, I will press charges?
You're watching too much American TV, you don't press charges.
Alright, then I'll file a claim.
You can make it.
Do you want your coffee?
Yes, I do.
There you go. Right, he's having a word with him, okay? And we'll leave you to it. But
Should have left me to it in the first place.
no, we had grounds to stop and speak to you instead.
I don't think you did.
Okay, that's fine. Be mindful of what my colleagues just said to you, okay?
What, that I'm a terrorist? If you thought I was a terrorist, you should act on it now. Off your pop. Off your pop. Off your pop. See you later.
Right, so you stand here all day.
Alright, cool. Yeah, see? Knew you'd leave first.
I'll bid you.
Wait, are you going to the shop to buy some polish for your boots? Not seen a bit of polish in years then.
By the time the officers walked away, the outcome had already been shaped long before the search came to an end, and it was driven by assumption rather than evidence. From the beginning, Free Times Audits was not treated as a citizen exercising a lawful right, but as someone to be controlled and managed. This stop was not a response to crime, and instead it was a preemptive reaction to being observed which set the tone for everything that followed. That is why finding nothing did not lead to reflection or correction, and only led to a quiet disengagement once there was nothing left to rely on. What defines this encounter is how normal the overreach appears with no urgency or chaos, just a steady escalation that feels routine. Clothing is turned into suspicion, filming is treated as intent, and uncertainty is framed as risk with each step following a familiar pattern used when attention is unwelcome. That is more concerning than any heated moment because it shows how easily intrusive powers can become part of everyday behavior without being questioned. The aftermath reinforces that point as Free Times Audits pursued a civil claim, and the police paid out, which acts as a quiet acknowledgement that the stop could not stand up to proper scrutiny. No crime was prevented and no threat was identified, yet public funds were used because the situation was not handled within proper limits. When accountability only appears after financial consequences, it points to a deeper issue within the system rather than a simple misunderstanding. If you found value in this breakdown, like the video, share it, and subscribe to support the channel and help keep this kind of accountability in focus. I'm the Audit Assessor, and this was episode 4. See you later.